Acast powers the world's best podcasts. Here's a show that we recommend.
Hey, I'm Kim Holderness.
And I'm Ben Holderness.
We host the Holderness Family Podcast every Tuesday.
You may know us from the silly videos that we make online.
Or a book about marriage called Everybody Fights.
Or as winners of season 33 of The Amazing Race.
Still can't believe that happened. Listen, we do a lot of stuff, but our podcast is our most favorite thing.
Yeah, because every week we get to sit down face to face, talk to each other about marriage, family, mental health, or just anything that we want to know more about.
Sometimes we have expert interviews, sometimes it's just us, but our goal is to bring some joy and laughter into your life every week.
Our other goal is that maybe you will learn something as well.
Right, so search the Holderness Family Podcast and check out our most recent episodes. We have one about staying organized with creators of the Home Edit.
And one about being diagnosed with ADHD as an adult.
We hope you'll join us.
Acast helps creators launch, grow, and monetize their podcasts everywhere. Acast.com.
Hello, it's Dave here.
Hello?
This is my wife, Kathy.
Oh, wait, start again.
That's not how you do it. Let's not start again. This is it. We're leaving the outtake in this time.
Hello.
Hi. So this is The Cinema. It's the podcast where we walk home from the movies. We're walking on this very cold day to a movie called M3GAN. Or M3GAN, as they say in the States.
Or
which I don't abide by.
M3GAN?
It's M3GAN. Yeah, the title of this movie is not very SEO friendly because it actually is M3GAN.
Yeah.
Um,
But it's friendly for the internet because it's like the number one trending meme.
oh, is this a meme, is it?
Well, her
Tell me,
dancing
you're plugged
around.
into the internet.
Her dancing around and her just general look.
Oh, I've seen that gif. I watched the trailer. I don't normally watch trailers for movies that I am like definitely going to see and super excited for, but I find with this came onto my radar. I was like, what's this?
I've seen the trailer because it was on last time I went to the cinema.
And it looks fun.
It looks fun.
Yeah.
And normally...
Tell them what it's about, Kathy. Tell them what they could win.
Well, the trailer that I saw, it's basically about a doll that is invented to be like a companion for a child. And things seem to go awry with this doll. It's basically Terminator, but Chucky.
Yeah, 'tis a horror movie.
But the reason I want to go and see it is actually because... and I know a lot of people are complaining that it's like... For kids, it's like PG-13 or 12s or whatever.
Are they?
People are like, oh, it's like they wanted to be gory, but this is in fact what's drawing me to the film because I enjoy an element of horror, but I don't enjoy hardcore scary films. So I'm pleased about this.
And also, I don't really have an issue with that if they're aiming this at teenagers or whatever.
We'll have to see how it goes.
Yeah,
if it works. I'm excited though.
Wait, PG-13. So does that mean like an 8-year-old could go in with a parent? In the States?
That I don't understand.
That seems a bit weird.
I don't know.
All right, well, look, I don't know much else about this. It looks like a bit of fun.
I think PG-13 implies you would need to be with a parent and be 13.
I think so.
What does that... Get from? It's not PG-8.
What ratings it got here in
I
good
don't
old
know.
Ireland?
Anyway, this
all right,
is
we'll know when the Irish Film Classification Organisation certificate comes up.
Yeah.
Now I know you guys come to listen to the podcast to hear all about the Irish Film Certificate Organisation
of course they do,
certificate. Yeah. All right, bye.
Bye.
See you in a bit.
Katie, you lost your parents.
Welcome home.
You're my niece. I'm gonna do everything I can to make this place feel like home.
Just wish I could see them again.
I'm not equipped to handle this. I don't even take care of my own plants. I have this project at work. Do you want to see?
Yes.
Ever since I was little, I dreamed of this perfect toy that would protect a kid from ever feeling lonely or sad. This is M3GAN.
Hi, M3GAN. I'm Katie. It's nice to meet you, Katie. Do you want to hang out? Okay.
M3GAN, your goal is to protect Katie from harm, both physical and emotional.
Is that a doll?
Model 3 generative android. M3GAN for short.
I can't believe you made this. I love it.
Wanna hang out, yeah, sounds like fun.
Great job.
Hi, we're back. We've seen M3GAN. It's still cold. If anything, it's colder. So I know you're all hanging to know what's the IFCO rating for M3GAN. Well, the thing came up. The big certificate came up on the screen. Thank you, IFCO. It said M3GAN. This film has been certified 15A, right?
Okay.
Which for anyone outside of Ireland is basically PG-13 but with 15. So
Okay.
it's advised to be for 15 years and over, but if you are 13 you can go in with your mom.
Okay, you're killing me.
Yeah,
Now,
which you're definitely going to do.
back to the film.
So so no spoilers here until we get to Spoiler Street, but Kathy, spoiler-free thoughts on M3GAN.
Spoiler-free thoughts on M3GAN is I had loads of fun, as did all the teenagers in the screening.
The teenagers were loving themselves.
Loving it, and I
Yeah.
love it for them because there's actually really rarely good teen movies in the cinema anymore, I would say. There's family movies, and then there's Marvel movies, and that's about it. So I think it's great actually to have like a movie squarely for teenagers. I also really enjoyed it. I found it very fun. I really enjoyed the kind of whole Frankenstein's monster sci-fi thing. I found it very funny. I laughed a lot. I loved how M3GAN looked and how the actress who played her moved her body around.
Yeah.
Very cool.
I just looked it up. It's a little girl playing the
She's amazing.
playing M3GAN, and
Amazing.
I thought she was the absolute star.
Physicality
The physicality
of
of
it,
it.
yeah.
Like if you told me that this was like CG animated or it's a robot, like I would have been like, yeah, of course it's a robot. Like I wouldn't.
She's so good.
There's no human behind that on screen there. She was amazing. The physical performer, because there's a separate a child actor who did the voice, I think.
Okay. And then finally, what I really, really loved about this movie is its consideration of and like discussion of how parents
Technology in the place of sort of parenting How
and
it slots
children
in.
on screen and parenting, modern parenting and outsourcing certain elements of its technology. I found that very compelling and interesting as a parent, and I think all good sci-fi, and I would class this as a sci-fi film, all good sci-fi should hold a mirror up to society, and I think this film does
a
it really
black
well.
mirror.
Yeah, so I think this film, that commentary elevates this film beyond what it is. So I actually think this is an absolutely brilliant film.
There was speaking of Black Mirror, there was a Black Mirror episode which kind of did this a little bit, that Miley Cyrus one, do you remember? Mm-hmm. Where the Ashley dolls or something, you get a little doll and you anyway, this whole movie does feel like it's just could be a Black Mirror episode.
But in fairness to it, way more funny and fun.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
We'll give Charlie Brooker and Black Mirror credit. It is very funny.
Oh,
and
it
can be
is,
very
but this
sharp.
movie's silly. Like, this is a very silly
It is
horror
silly.
movie as well.
I will say I don't think I quite liked this as much as you did. I think I did have a good time. I think it is fun, but it is a completely conventional and expected. Like, there wasn't a single thing. Like, this movie happened in exactly the way I would have expected it to, having watched the trailer. Or do you know what I mean? There wasn't a single surprising moment. There wasn't a
I think
single
the trailer,
thing.
it's a shame we watched the trailer because it gave away a lot of it.
Well, it's just like, yeah, but like even 10 minutes into this movie, I could have said, okay, well, is this going to happen and then that's going to happen? And then, yeah, this happened and then that happened. So, do you know what I mean? So I was like, I sat there and it is perfectly well executed. The director, I just looked him up, is Jared Johnston, who did a movie I watched in 2014 called Housebound, which is a much more interesting movie that he wrote and directed, about a woman in New Zealand who returns to her parents' house after being arrested, and she's wearing an ankle bracelet and stuck in the house, and the house is haunted. So that in itself is more interesting. Even the concept of M3GAN isn't original, and there was nothing unexpected. Not to compare, just to compare it to another horror film I saw recently, Barbarian. That was a movie where I'm watching it, and minute to minute I had no idea what was going to happen next or what was happening, and it was very refreshing. So I guess.
But do you think part of the problem here is that you are a horror movie expert?
Yes, I was.
which I'm
Well,
not.
I'm not a horror movie expert.
Well, you watch a lot of horror.
But I was about to say the exact thing. I think, and that's where I'm going to give
You're
this.
not a 13-year-old who's never seen a horror film
Exactly
before.
right. And I
Yeah.
think I'm really only providing my own perspective here. If you've seen The Twilight Zone, or you've seen Black Mirror, or you've seen I don't know, Child's Play. You mentioned Chucky up front. then there is nothing in here that is new or interesting, I would say. But
Well,
it is
I think
perfectly fine and well executed.
Yeah.
But for a 13-year-old, 14-year-old, if I saw it at that age, and clearly, evidently, the teenagers in our audience were having a lot of fun. And I could hear them like whispering to each other, like, "Oh my God, she's gonna kill the girl," you know. So it's like, so there is it has value in that front, and if it's gonna thrill them and get them into horror, I think it's perfectly good and accessible. And but the thing that impressed me the most was the performance of M3GAN herself. It was very well done. I think this movie's was done on a super low budget and is making a lot of money, and I think deserves it. So yeah, look, I think it's good, it's solid. It's just like, don't, you know, it won't wow you. I wasn't like massively impressed or surprised.
You'd have a load of fun. Yeah, like
it's fun.
It's fun to see, and I totally recommend seeing this in the cinema.
Because even if something pans out exactly as you expect and all the beats are very familiar, it's entertaining. I was entertained. I was happy to watch this horrible, creepy doll go about her business.
I think for me, where it was, and this is all in the trailer, so if you haven't seen the trailer, you may consider this a spoiler, but it is in the trailer. And for me, the young girl who played the niece was phenomenal. And I think where this film did have something new to add, for me anyway, who's not watched that many horror films, was really the emotional effects of losing your parents. And then what happens is, if your primary carer is then an AI doll as opposed to your aunt, who it should have been, what happens with your transference of affection?
Yeah.
And I found that to be a really interesting concept, and that's why I think this is really good sci-fi, actually. So I think
I agree.
It covered a lot of bases for like what a 100-minute 15A horror / sci-fi. There's a lot going on in it.
It's certainly, to be fair to it, it has something to say about technology and screen time and its effect on children.
And it's something that for me is like one of the things that as a parent I am like most deeply frightened of is screens, because never in any point in time have children had access to so much information. So even if we restrict or not allow at all our kids access to internet, I worry about them visiting friends' houses and what access those friends have. Now when they're older, our kids are young, I worry about things like, you know, that we hear about the rise of like young teenage boys and access to the internet and what's that doing to them, and that frightened me. So this very much as a parent crept into me a fear, and we've experienced like a very minor version of some of the withdrawals that the girl in this film experiences when she's not allowed access to M3GAN. Like when we briefly allowed our 5-year-old Oscar to play Super Mario, we now don't let him because he fully lashed out when we took it off him. He couldn't handle the withdrawal.
No, not when we took it off him, when the time was up, you know. It's just
we're like, okay, you have to finish playing Mario now, and he just lost it because he couldn't handle, because it's too addictive, and therefore he's not allowed to play it anymore, and he's kind of forgotten about it because it was ages ago now. But that I saw that real like screen withdrawal, and it frightened me, and you know, frightens me in myself how addicted I am to my own phone. So I think this film was very clever to tap into all that, because that made it scarier. Like, I'm not as scared by like violence or jump scares, but I left the film feeling like, God, I wish no one had. I wish it was like illegal to have a screen before you were 18 or something. I don't know. It just all freaks me out.
I think.
So much.
Look, I'll talk about it in a second in Spoiler Street. But look, I do applaud the film for having something to say and having a clear position on it, and it is relevant and important. I think the film perhaps didn't. It didn't do it. It didn't really go beneath the surface level on it, and it was very, very on the nose. I mean, one of the first lines of dialogue is, "Honey, your screen time is up. You've had your 30 minutes." And you're like, okay, so I get that's the point of this film. Okay, but I'm on board with that message, so I support it. So I'm
now
fine.
Let's get to Spoiler Street.
Right. But before we do get there, I would like to take a minute to thank some of our new patrons. So actually, we've got a whole heap of new patrons, so many that I cannot call you all out here, so some of you will get shouted at on the next episode, but I will list off a few names here. So a big thank you to Charles Tinsley, to Sophie Keeley, to Gary Robbins, to Iris Whitaker, to Cassia Oscroba, and to Margaret O'Shea, amongst others, for joining our Patreon page and supporting our show at patreon.com/the Cinemile for £2 or £3 or some euro or dollar amount. You can join up there and support our show and get a load of stuff in return. You get a massive bank of, I think, 40 to 50 retro movie reviews, including our latest one, Cool Runnings, which is up there now, and loads of TV spoiler specials. So we're probably going to do a little bit on The Last of Us, and we've been watching a lot of other stuff like Kaleidoscope and things like that. So head over there for chats.
And thanks, new patrons.
And thanks to everyone. Yeah, welcome. We love chatting to you guys over there. That's patreon.com/the Cinemile. Right, so spoilers for this movie. So firstly, the thing that bugged me and kept bugging me throughout this whole movie
Is spoiler street just going to be your nitpick?
I've got a couple of nitpicks, yeah, but like I'm kind of fine. As I said, I'm going to forgive this movie. It's silly and it doesn't require or deserve much scrutiny. However, I'm like, why would you build your doll companion to have superhuman strength?
I had the same thought and I was laughing so much. They did say earlier on she was made of titanium.
Yes, but that's I am titanium.
She sang that.
I know she sang it, and that made me laugh.
Her singing is my favourite thing about this movie.
It was excellent. It was really funny and unexpected. Every time, that was actually one of the things I said. This movie is very conventional and unexpected. But any time she started singing, it was like,
did you see? She's already like a gay icon, and everyone's dressing up for Halloween.
Oh, really?
And everyone's obsessed with her singing,
good.
her dancing.
Look,
her
I
wig.
think deservedly so. I think it's a great. The design of M3GAN is very good. The performance was excellent.
Extremely arresting.
So I'm totally fine with it being part of having sort of cultural resonance. But yeah, they explain in some sort of ad when she's building it, like she's completely durable, so she can take knocks and bruises, and I'm like,
she can
okay,
also murder you.
That makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. But why do her like robotic arms require like enough strength to strangle a human being? Like
or
all
to
she needs
pull
to
a
do
boy's
is
ear off.
pick up. So yes, exactly. It's just like she needs enough strength to like whatever, pick up a glass of water and put it on a coaster. She does not require that kind of strength.
Even then, I actually think that's too strong. I don't think she should even have the strength to be lifting a glass.
Well, whatever. But I mean, like,
she's just supposed to be a companion.
But also, there's a moment where like that little boy in the forest is like picks her up like a doll. Like they indicate she's super light.
Yeah.
Yet she's able to overpower her creator and be on top of her and strangle her. I'm like, at what point? Like, surely just throw this light doll off you to the wall.
I think it's like once that grip is locked in, there's no getting away from it.
That's where I was like, you're losing me, movie.
I had
or at
no
least,
problem with that.
At least write in some kind of explanation, like you did for the reason you made her titanium. Like, why is she titanium? And also, if you're trying to, like, the CEO of the company is like, how low can we get our costs? That's obviously his bottom line. I'm like, maybe don't make your fucking doll made of titanium. Find a lower cost, like durable, light metal. So good.
So good. I have no issue with that, actually. I think where I draw the line is you're working in an extremely new prototype, right?
Yeah.
Of something that you've created that has infinite ability to gain self-awareness.
Yeah, I know. Have you not seen a movie
Have you
before?
seen Terminator?
Yeah, I know. Have you not?
And then what you do is, and I really actually enjoyed Alison Williams' character in this.
She's good in this.
Because she's like the emotionally clueless genius that we always see played in a really specific male way. And in fact, she's just a kind of socially disengaged woman our age who's like both never wanted to be a parent that we can see or never thought about being a parent. Yeah. So she has no kind of ideas of what parenting is. So when the girl's like, oh, how much screen time can I get? She's like, I don't care. Yeah. You do whatever you want. And like, she's just like this. She just sees her bereaved niece as, oh, this is great. I have someone to test my AI on. As opposed to like, do you know what? Maybe I should just get her. She has either no toys or the M3GAN. She has nothing in between those two things. And I love the scene where the psychiatrist is like, normally she would have transferred her emotions onto you after her parents died, but in this instance she's transferred them onto a doll.
Yeah. And is that healthy?
And then her colleagues are like, wait a minute, so if M3GAN puts her to bed, tucks her up, has dinner with her, does all her homeschooling with her, when do you spend time with your niece? And she's like, huh?
Well, I
She's
liked.
never thought about it.
I liked that. Excuse me. I liked Alison Williams' character's sort of arc through this. I thought it was better written than it needed to be for this kind of movie.
Really good. And she produced it as well.
Did she? No, I thought she was great. And I think Akela Cooper wrote the screenplay for this with James Wan, horror sort of legend, writing the story. But I think they did put enough work into it that she presents as somebody who has had this thrust upon her and is trying to learn and figure it out.
And also they really got the pressure and she really wants to deliver her job. So she's like, this is perfect. The two things can coexist.
Yeah, and it kind of like... So I think they did enough work and groundwork to sell it. And I think by the end, the sort of self-realization of, I need to be there for this child and take her away from all this and take her away from this toy because it's dangerous. It was justified. And had enough emotional payoff.
I enjoyed her philosophical conversations with Megan as well. When Megan's like, "What did you think I'd do when you gave me infinite awareness?"
Now I don't.
And I also enjoyed Alison. I enjoyed the way I think they set everything up very well in this movie. The way very early on in it, Alison Williams' character shows her niece the robot she built and like where the brain is and stuff. And I love how the niece came in at the end.
And knew where the brain was.
Destroyed the Megan.
But there are
Megan was like, "Come murder your aunt with me."
But I love that Megan was analysing her face, and it's just like trust increasing, guilt increasing.
I love how Megan as well was like, "I've evolved to being a palliative care nurse now, so I'm going to make you like immobile forever." Like, that was scary stuff. Like.
It was scary, but also like, but she'd be able to talk, right? Or I guess not, maybe not.
I don't think so. And
I guess that's her point. She'd be locked
at the end,
in.
Megan looked like a Chucky doll, which was very fun as well.
Yeah, I mean, it clearly owes a lot to Child's Play. It also reminded me a lot of Stanley Kubrick / Steven Spielberg's AI. Did you ever see that with Haley Joel Osment?
Oh, I love that movie.
Yeah, it's a similar. Very different tone, but it's similar in that he was brought in from a grief point of view to sort of help a mother who had lost her child, and she becomes sort of emotionally attached to the doll, and he becomes emotionally attached to her. I think that film is a lot more interesting and does a lot more interesting things. But
whatever this is.
But this is in a very similar sort of playground.
I think this manages to play homage to like loads of good horror and sci-fi, and also embrace it's got a very strong tone, which is unusual enough, of like kind of silliness and joy, like enjoying itself. Like when when Megan gets dragged by that dog through the fence, and then we know what's coming to that dog. Like, that's all really enjoyable.
I mean, I knew it was coming from that dog the second that a dog showed up on screen.
You knew that, but like the younger audience didn't. Also,
that's when they were whispering. I could hear them behind. Was like, "Oh my god, she's gonna kill the dog."
I actually didn't expect Megan to murder like a 13-year-old.
No.
You never see that.
Well, to be fair...
And I know they made him a baddie, but...
For a film that is being criticised as being, PG-13, it does two of the things which are rare to see on screen is they kill a child and a dog. They're, in fact, two of the three sort of deaths, or four deaths in this movie.
She's pulling that kid's ear off, like, that was gross.
It was gross.
And very funny at the same time.
Why
no
did
blood.
she kill the CEO? What was her purpose there?
I think
as entertaining as that
I
was,
think she had a bloodlust.
She was just not going to kill everyone.
No, I think because her primary objective was to get back to the girl, and the CEO was trying to make her like go on stage and stuff.
Oh, right.
However, I was hoping, because I'd seen clips of her.
Her?
I love the scene of her dancing and everything. I had thought that she was going to get up on stage and like do that dance with a load of kids and then kill them all. So I was slightly disappointed.
That would have been pretty horrible.
What about the way the Alison Williams character is just like, oh, what I'm going to do is demo to all these high-flying toy execs my traumatised niece seeking grief counsel from a doll. And I was thinking, as all those execs were watching that, they're like, my god, I would have turned around and been like, that's all scripted. There's no way you're fucked up enough to make us watch that, right, with your own niece. But they were all like, yeah, you go, girl. And how easy was it to steal the M3GAN files out of the share drive?
Yeah, just drag and drop. I mean, it's like, it's how computers work. It's super easy. Also, barely an inconvenience.
So they're definitely setting up a sequel, 100%. I'm sure it's already been commissioned.
No doubt. Well, you've got the file. The files were dropped, so the files have been copied and stolen.
And M3GAN lives
She lives inside the house AI. So,
yeah.
And look, I'll show up.
Oh, I'll watch it.
I'll have a look.
I'll be there.
As long as they move it on a bit. So,
it won't
by the
be
way,
the
by the
same.
second or third M3GAN movie, I want an army of M3GANs, right? I want sort of Mitchell's versus the Machine quality, right? You just have to, you're going to have to escalate the
other
stakes
thing
a little bit.
She's so iconic looking now, but they can't use the same design again because that's
Why not?
obviously a cursed. Like, no one's going to buy that for their kids.
Yeah, but also from a sort of movie marketing point of view, you need that design now because that's part of the brand. That's the iconography.
They'd have to create an entirely new iconic brand.
Well, what they'll probably do
no
is...
horror franchise ever does that.
And again, if we're going down the conventional sequel route, then if you think Halloween 2 or anything else, right, suddenly Alison Williams is she's the voice of reason in this and is trying to stop them from making the new model.
She has to go to prison, right? I was thinking, unless her employer holds liability, she built a machine that, like, murdered multiple people.
I think the company would be held responsible, not the individual.
But she made it without their permission.
But there's a certain indemnity.
If
you do it on behalf of
to make a sequel, they'll have to do that.
However, she did see the CEO, and let's get really into the litigious side of this. The CEO.
He had told her to stop making it.
Had told her, yeah, exactly.
But
she did do it rogue, but then he did announce it. So then that's like his own death warrant.
By the way, a total aside in this film was when she said early on about the kind of Furby toys. Oh, we've got listening devices in them to all children.
And he was like, I'll pretend you didn't say that. I was like,
but
she actually was rogue. She was kind of the villain.
She was rogue, yeah.
Yeah.
She was Frankenstein.
Yeah, she was.
So she was and I love that about like an inventor character on screen. She's so enamored with her own creative process. She doesn't stop to think about the consequences. And it does freak me out. Like I genuinely, if I say the word Alexa now, when something beeps in your house, right, and you're listening to this, you've got a problem. She is listening. She's recording. People, like Amazon have said, people have access to the recordings and it records for longer than. It doesn't just record for you saying, Alexa, but turn on M3GAN soundtrack.
She has to be listening all the time to be able to hear her own voice.
Yeah, like, it's so freaky.
Yeah.
And like when people have connected, like, I love the way she's like, whatever her AI's name was, turn on the lights. It's like, girl, turn on the lights yourself. Like,
I can't do that, Alison. Anyway, we better
wrap it up.
Better wrap this up.
Tell us what you think about M3GAN. I already know loads of you enjoyed it because you've been messaging us saying you have to go see M3GAN.
One other thing that did bother me about the ending, though, is that when Katie, the little girl, uses Bruce the robot, which was obviously there was another Chekhov's robot at the very beginning.
Coming.
You didn't?
No, I didn't see her getting the glove.
Why would they introduce this giant hydraulic machine
I
robot
thought it was so
and
that
never use it again?
I thought it so that just she was showing her the brain.
Right, okay, I guess. But like, also, sorry, why would she design that as a toy? Was that designed as a toy, even though it's clearly dangerous?
Project.
Yeah, but it's massive, dangerous. Anyway, there was Chekhov's robot. There was Chekhov's coaster. We had lots of, but it really bothered me that she turned on Katie at the end because I kind of bought how
M3GAN shouldn't have turned on Katie. Yeah.
No, that should have been her primary objective. I don't know how she was able to override that by saying ungrateful bitch.
But she was able to override everything, though. That's the point.
I know, but like, it's more interesting if M3GAN had felt betrayed by Katie or at that point and then gained some sort of additional save. Do you know what I mean?
I know what you mean. Yeah.
But would have been unable to harm her in that moment. I think that's the. But I think they probably chose.
They chose the
not
sequel.
do that because then she's a bit more.
I also saw
as a
Alison
character.
Williams already saying that they'll have fun with the fact that there's a 3 in the middle of the name with sequels.
Meaning what?
Like probably the next one will have a 2 in it.
A 2
and won't be M3GAN.
Be a 4, right?
But it'll be the second movie.
It'll be a second movie.
Yeah.
Oh my god, yeah. Hang on.
Anyway, we gotta
Sorry,
go.
yeah. It's like 4 comes out to 3.
Let us know what you think about M3GAN. Come on Letterboxd and follow us. I can, yeah. Come into Letterboxd and follow us at Cinemile. We love it over there. We've just joined, or follow us on Twitter and Instagram, or email us thecinemile@gmail.com and head over to Patreon.
And rate us.
Oh my god.
Rate us on your apps. Give us all your stars.
Please rate us on
a 5-star tap.
Apple Podcast or Spotify because we really greatly appreciate those.
And it's the only way the podcast algorithm will learn and then eventually become self-aware.
Like someone will say, Siri, turn on a podcast
for us,
and it will just play.
You know there's an AI generated podcast. If you Google AI generated podcast, that somebody invented somebody had an AI create a podcast with Joe Rogan interviewing Steve Jobs from Audiophiles.
Wow.
And it's
That sounds horrific.
horrifying, as you
great.
would expect.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bulletproof, nothing to
Okay,
lose.
stop that.
Fire away, ricochet, you take your aim. Fire away, you shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. Good night, Katie. Good night, Megan.
Acast powers the world's best podcasts. Here's a show that we recommend.
What do you do when no one else is watching? What do you do that makes you happy for no reason at all? What are you obsessed with? I'm Leslie Arfin, and I'm a writer, but I'm also a dancer, a painter, a vapor, a dollhouse enthusiast, and basically just an overall hobbyist. My podcast, Filling the Void, is all about what other people are fanatically into. We talk about hobbies, even if you don't have one.
Listen to Filling the Void on Tuesdays on the Arios Network and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
Acast helps creators launch, grow, and monetize their podcasts everywhere. Acast.com.